Baiklah, pada kali itu kita akan bersama seorang pemimpin yang sangat ceria. Beliau cukup santai orangnya. Terkenal dengan tagline beliau, tengok saja. Thank you very much for coming despite your busy schedule. This is our talk show called Tauk Sik Talk Show. Before we start, tell us about yourself, Datuk Sri.
Okay. I used to be born in Sarawak. Went to Australia at 17 years old.
At 17 years old.
Stayed 17 years in Australia.
That was how many years ago?
That
You are now 37?
Yes. and then I was back in Malaysia since 1998.
All right.
Back in Sarawak since 2000. I used to jaga jantung.
Jaga jantung.
Tapi sekarang susah mau jaga hati.
Okay, that means orang kata dari klinik ke politik. Ya, itu dia tagline yang cukup apa orang kata tu. Tell us about this transition, Datuk Sri. Very interesting transition from clinic to politik.
Yeah, I mean ini jalan right. It's unexpected. I was born in a family of politics, and I basically focus all my life as a pakar jantung. Then when the opportunity come around, then in one full circle back to politics.
Okay. You were pakar jantung in Sarawak.
Yes, I was pakar jantung in Sarawak, and I was also the president of the pakar jantung for Asia Pacific.
Okay.
I was also the governor for the pakar jantung of American College Cardiology for Asia Pacific.
Impressive.
So, yes, as I said, used to jaga jantung, but now jaga hati.
Now jaga hati orang. We want to know your favorite food. So orang jaga jantung mesti makan yang berkhasiat.
Yeah, I have a weekly sing. Setiap minggu ada sing.
Ada sing.
Itu Sarawak laksa.
Makan laksa. So laksa Sarawak good for jantung meh?
Good for business.
Good for Ministry of Local Government and Housing. Can you share with us about your ministry and your latest initiatives?
Yes. The Ministry of Local Government and Housing, is a local government component. All the councils at the moment are very active. SOP.
Okay.
Under COVID-19. So they are very active. They're helping out enforcement. They're helping out to make sure that SOPs are for new industry and so on. But then the housing component is a very big component.
Yep.
Housing, we used to call it concurrent lease. That means that one from KL, one from Sarawak. But since 2 years ago, since 2018, tidak tengok saja.
Tidak sama, tidak cun.
So as a result, CN Abanjo has been saying that with Sarawak, we do our own.
Okay.
And because housing is a big issue for all the rakyat Sarawak, and so we run our own program, and one of them is Spectra Permata for B40, and then for the M40, it's called Sri Pertiwi.
Okay, so it's already started?
Yes.
And how was the response?
Okay, for the Spectra Permata, it is basically for B40, it's individual house, and most of them are double story. I mean on steel. That's what I mean.
Okay.
About 750 square, price ranging from 90,000 to 160,000.
Okay.
And on individual plot of land. And so what happened is from last year and this year, we will have 2,500 houses throughout Sarawak. And by December, I think all the projects throughout Sarawak has started.
Okay, all right. So that is should be the solution of our youngsters now, because they always say that they always have problem like untuk memiliki rumah sendiri. You know, they want to own their own house. Tapi harga rumah semakin meningkat, semakin mahal. You know, so I think the one that you explained is now. Be the solver of the issue.
We probably will need to have another program. That is, when you just come out university, you're looking for jobs.
Okay.
You cannot because all these houses you need down payment.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we may need to have some form of like a council housing for a few years that you can save money. We rent to you very cheap, you save money, and then as a down payment. The other issue that we face a lot is banyak orang bila pergi bank, bank cakap dia mau kasih.
Tidak mau kasih loan.
So Kerajaan Sarawak kita ada our own bank called Mutiara Finance.
Mutiara Finance.
So if the bank doesn't want to give you any loans, and Mutiara Finance will try our best to make sure you own a house.
Okay, so that's the effort of our state government to help to assist our youngsters to get themselves for them to own their own house.
Yes.
In a very young age. Okay. More about how many housing projects going on right now. That is really location wise, price range.
Yeah, the housing projects. I mean, depending on which category. The Spectra Permata is the one that Sarawak government program. And from B40, they are in Kuching, in Cebu. We're looking for land in Bintulu, and then in Miri, and also in smaller area like Lundu. They also have in Bau. They also have. Of course, in area like Lundu and Bau, you don't get few hundreds of those houses.
Okay.
And because I mean the population is
small.
not. But basically, both the urban and the rural they have it. And the price range depending on whether you're corner or you're in the middle, intermediates, and so whether it's an individual lot. And so it ranges between 90,000 to 160,000. But the Jalan Tasil, the drains are concrete drains, and the electricity are connected, the water are connected, and the tanah, earth view. So even though people say it's a bit more expensive than Rumah Mesra. Rumah Mesra is 50,000. But basically, no one do a drain for you, no one do the road for you.
All right.
And this one, the drains, the road, everything.
This one
you just need to moving.
So much better.
Yes.
Dan so berita baik untuk anak-anak muda yang nak memiliki rumah sendiri. Okay, Datuk Sri, kita beralih ke soalan seterusnya. Next question. Projects under local councils are generally very close to people in housing areas, whether it's a small project, whether it's a big project. So can you share with us about these projects in general and the initiatives by our ministry to deliver the best to the people?
Yes, I mean, I think since Toknan started Project Rakyat, I mean, the RTP and the Rural Transformation Program. And all the local councils has so many programs at the moment. And because every Adung has 5 million. And most of the Adung on 5 million, they go upgrading the drains, they do tamans, they do all this. So in fact, I mean, there are so many projects now that all the local council now is looking for engineers. You know, and mainly because just too many projects. And what is interesting is we used to say that we are the contractors begging for projects. Now the local council begging the contractors
to do the projects. Kita kembali ke program Tauk Sik Talk Show. Tonight we're going to talk about another important topic. And but before that, I would like to invite Mr. Jonathan Chai Woon Tok, President for the Association of the Board of Management of the Aided Chinese Primary Schools. How are you?
Good, thanks.
You look good, definitely. Right. So, can you tell us about your associations? That
Okay.
first, and tell us about how many Chinese schools in Sarawak generally. Some probably Sarawakians or even people in Malaysia want to know how many Chinese schools in Sarawak generally.
I'm the president for the Association of Boards of Management of Aided Chinese Primary School in Kuching, Syrian and Samarahan Division. And under the association, we have 56 Chinese primary schools.
Okay.
But if you talk about Sarawak in general, Sarawak has 222 Chinese primary schools.
Okay.
Out of which 185 are aided schools.
Aided schools.
31 government schools and 6 mission schools.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, tell us about your association's future plans. You definitely have a lot of plans with you.
We have a few important projects in hand, especially relocation of school. Relocation of SKM, Sekolah Kurang Murid, they call
Sekolah
it,
Kurang Murid,
which is less than 150 students. But these schools which are going to be relocated are far less than 150.
Okay.
Because we have problem in getting enrollment from the area nearby. So there is no intake of new students.
Okay.
So they are forced to relocate to other densely populated area. Like recently, we have just completed one relocation of SJK Chunghua Bako from Bako to Samarahan.
Right. So
this is one of the example. And there are a few other schools in Sarawak which are in the pipeline that need to be relocated.
All right, that's your future plans. Datuk Sri,
Yes.
how do you look at these Chinese schools in the future?
I think the Chinese school, right, has in Sarawak is for all races.
Yeah.
I mean, you got not only the Sarawak Chinese, you got Sarawak Malay, Sarawak Dayak, Sarawak Bidayu, and all in the Chinese school. And in fact, in some of the Chinese school in Sarawak, there are more non-Chinese than Chinese.
Okay.
And this is one of the reasons why the Sarawak government under Tok Nang initially funded the Chinese middle school, which is a secondary school. And lately, Jonathan called on CN, and then we talk about the uniform structure, because the primary school, as you have heard, there are 222 of them, and we want to have a system like similar to Unifor to do the funding. To do the funding for the primary school.
You want to emulate the system of Unifor.
Yes.
Okay, Datuk Sri, one of the beauty is not like what you mentioned just now. It's not only Chinese students enroll in Chinese schools, but also a lot of Ibans, especially now Malays.
Yes.
Malays they are sending their kids to Chinese schools, and a lot of students from the various ethnic groups studies in the Chinese schools. So, can you share with us about the state government's initiatives in details to in order to assist all these schools?
Yes. So, I mean, one is the Chinese middle school, is secondary school. Since 2014, Adinan started off with giving financial assistance of 3 million, and then recognizing UEC, the United Examination Certificates, also to allow the UEC holders to become Sarawak Civil Service. And then Tok Nang, even though Tok Nang passed away, but Abang Jo took it further, and this year alone, CA Abang Jo has given 9 million to Chinese middle school. And that is the Sarawak government initiative. And on top of that, right, this year, because Jonathan and the Chinese primary school, they face a lot of relocation issues and then fundings and all those things. And CN Abang Jo has agreed to start another initiative, which is to look after the Chinese primary school. a Chinese primary school, which are a Chinese primary school, the teachers, the electricity, utilities are paid by federal government. But in order to repair or rebuild or new buildings, the school board, like people like Jonathan, they had to raise the money. So, and it's quite a challenge because a lot of these schools nowadays are from peripheral because of rural to urban migration. So they don't face any students, they don't have any students in rural areas, but in urban, the school are too overcrowded. People cannot get in.
And so, Jonathan, if you like to further comment about the state government's initiatives.
I just want to add on to what Dr. Sri has said.
Yes, please do so.
In Sarawak, there are about 60,000, more than 60,000 students study in Chinese primary schools. Out of which more than 20,000 are non-Chinese. So it's 1 in 3. 1 in 3. The percentage is one of the highest in the country. So the idea was first brought up when we make the courtesy call to Yang Amat Berhormat Chief Minister early last year. To set up something like Uni4 to specifically look after the Chinese primary school in Sarawak. So with the active following out by Dr. Sri and Yang Amat Berhormat early this year make an announcement officially in Chunghwa number 4 when we have this Cap Gourmet celebration.
Good news.
Yes, he formally, officially announced a task force to be headed by Dr. Sri to look after the issues and the financial needs encountered by the Chinese primary school in Sarawak. That's how it came about.
Okay, so Datuk Sri, just now you mentioned about UEC, the Unified Examination Certificate, and its impact towards Chinese school students. How do you feel about our state being the only state in Malaysia to certify UEC?
I think it is an important recognition on the education standard that are offered by the Chinese middle school, which is secondary schools. And I think this is very forward-looking policy. If any education, any institution produce good results, doesn't matter what type of
schools,
we should make use of them because they are talents. And they are talents that we can get hold of, and then something that we can do for Sarawak, and we should actively grab it.
Because we are different. Sarawak is different. We have 30 of our ethnic groups, and then kita remember the late Tok Nan said kita duduk sama-sama, makan sama-sama, minum sama-sama. The other one itu you continue. So it really benefit us in Sarawak for having or recognizing UEC.
Jackie, I was just thinking. Jonathan mentioned about Uni4. Uni4 is also very unique to Sarawak. Only in Sarawak we have this. It's called Unit for Other Religions. It started by Tok Nan in 2014 to look after the Christian, the Buddhists, the Hindus, and so it's a unit under the Chief Minister Department. And the unit has officers which address the issues, but at the same time giving out money to all these churches, temples for rebuilding of the churches, temples, and so on. So it started in 2014. 2016. About 5 million, and this year increased to 50 million. So it's only in Sarawak.
That is Uni4. So you hope that by emulating Uni4 system, so you're gonna have the additionals of grants
so we can distribute uniformly.
Okay, baiklah Datuk Sri, we have come to almost come to the end of our segment, and before we close, we'd like to get Datuk Sri to share with us your visions, your hopes towards Sarawak for being the leader of the Chinese community.
I think in Sarawak we are very fortunate. We are very fortunate because all the races live together in harmony, respect each other. And only if we are united, the Sarawak future will be much, much brighter than anywhere else. I always say after 55 years in the formation of Malaysia, Sarawak finally is going to wake up. And then we are at this interesting growing up stage, financially. And then we have under CA Amanjo, we have our own bank, we have our own television, we have our own telecom company, we have so many international schools our own. So this is just the beginning. And what is important is in the next 5 years is where Sarawak will be prosperous. Petronas is not the amount of money. Petronas high court ruling is a demonstration that Sarawak has a right to impose Sarawak sales tax. So we can impose 5%, we can impose 8%, we can impose 10%. And Petronas is recognizing it. With all this money coming in the next 5 years, when we finish spending all the money on infrastructures, the money will be used for other things for Sarawakian. So the future of Sarawak, if we are divided, we will be like KL. Now KL is divided, they need Sarawak because we are united. So if Sarawak is not united, we will be like KL. So we must remain united. And so the next 5 years, the Sarawak, once all these things is in place, Sarawak, the best of Sarawak is yet to come. The prosperity and peace will pay dividends for every Sarawakian. So these few years is more like what Sarawakians can do for Sarawak. If something they can do for Sarawak, then when Sarawak prospers, then Sarawak can do something for you as a Sarawakian. So this is the time. Now Sarawakian do something for Sarawak, we remain united, and the future is very, very bright.
So when we are prosperous, orang lain akan tengok
saja.
There's a time for orang lain untuk tengok kita. Okey, pelbagai topik telah pun kita kupas bersama tamu kita pada malam ini, dan dari perumahan Sarawak ke projek-projek kerajaan tempatan sehingga ke pembangunan sekolah jenis kebangsaan Cina di Sarawak, dan telah pun dikupas oleh Yang Berhormat Profesor Datuk Sri Dr. Sim Kuhian dengan amat jelas, dengan cukup santai. Terima kasih Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri. Terima kasih Saudara Jonathan kerana sudi bersama kita pada malam tu. Terima kasih dari Tauk Sik Talk Show.